Listen, you all don't know, so we're going to break down the family business. What's the role of a wife, the woman, the role of a man, the husband, right? What's the establishment of the family that uplifts our community, that propel us to generational wealth? We're going to break this down in this episode. What's going on, y'all? It's another episode of Minding Your Biz. I'm one of your co-hosts, Dr. BlackWealth, and we got the co-host.
Yes, Mrs. Fabfinancial coming through.
Yeah.
Coming through. We're going to talk about roles, huh, today?
Right, roles. All this Instagram and TikTok talk about what the man, the woman should be doing, and the woman is all that. We gonna put away rumors today.
All right. Right. Okay, so we gonna just jump right on into it, right?
Into it.
So, here we go. So I think, right, I think men and women get really kind of in the weeds about particulars. Women should do this and men should do that, right? And so that a lot of times in this whole kind of fake beef about him versus her and man versus woman, because people are exploiting things that are really not a factor, right? Mm-hmm. I think as women, it is known or should be known and obvious that we are your helpmate. Mm-hmm. That in a family dynamic, we are there to aid, guide, and help you be the best you can be. Therefore, you will then be the protector you need to be of the family, right? I think that's a basic fundamental, right? Now, what people kind of get a little kind of rattled about it is those particulars. Women should cook. Women should clean. Women should do like these domesticated things that some people have in their minds, right? Our house should be clean. We should have food to eat. You know, it should be a safe place for us and our children. Who does that in your home? To me, us as a union should talk about that. Now, the man is going to be a provider, but maybe that's not what happens, right? Marriages are for the long haul. Mm-hmm. Marriages go through cycles like anything else. So you may start off in a marriage in one particular role. Time moves on, you're doing something else, and you can end and be in a completely different role. But I think ultimately, the goal is we are here to uplift our family. We are here to leave something behind for our children's children. And how do we best do that in this family dynamic, right? And so for me as a wife, as a business owner, as a woman who is very headstrong, has tons of opinions, right? As women, sometimes we do need to be quiet. We need to be quiet. Like just be quiet. Sometimes we talk too much. Sometimes we are doing so much that we can emasculate our spouses, right? I have a very masculine personality sometimes. And so I have to sometimes turn it down. And that's not settling, belittling, lowering myself. That is allowing my husband to be who he needs to be in a safe place in our home without feeling threatened, demasculatized, whatever that word is, in our home. And by doing that, allows him to be vulnerable, allows him to have more emotional intelligence because he's not on the defensive of what being a man is supposed to be, because society says he's supposed to be super aggressive and super masculine. But me and my femininity, right, allows him to creates a safe place for that, right? And in terms of what I am doing as a wife and a mother in my home. So me as a woman, and I feel like as a woman and as a wife, as a business owner, it is our job and our duty to help our spouses win. And how he wins really determines who he is. So me knowing my husband, how he operates, I know sometimes, Farrah, you got to turn it down. You're coming off too much, coming off too strong. I'm also the person who is going to be there hand in hand with you in business ideas, I am a person who knows my role in certain aspects. Now, it took me time to get there, right? But ultimately, the goal is for us and our family is to get to the finish line. And I can't be too caught up in my emotions that because if I don't like what my husband is saying to me, I feel like, hey, he don't love me no more. He ready to abandon ship. No, I have to hear what he's saying, take it in, be receptive, right? Listen and figure out how we're going to get to the goal here. And sometimes as women, we get really in our emotions. Our feathers get really flustered because we don't like how the man is talking to us. We don't like what he's saying to us. Or he wants me to cook and clean and do all this stuff. You got to find the puzzle piece that matches yours. I'm not a traditional or whatever they call traditional style woman. When my husband met me, I'm not a cooker or a cleaner. That's not me. And he wasn't asking for that. He was, if we need somebody to cook and clean, we can hire that. I need you to be my support system. I need you to be my peace. Mm-hmm. And that's what I gave him. Now, some people, they'll define that different ways. I think that we spend way too much time looking and imposing what society wants us to be. Mm-hmm. And you and your spouse, you and your puzzle piece have to figure out how you fit, right? I can't impose, to me, society's roles on him. My husband don't fix nothing. He don't cut no grass. I know that. He may not change a light bulb in the house.
We gonna call the handyman.
He gonna call the handyman. We got somebody to cut the lawn. We have people to come in and put together furniture. Because typically if he do it, it's too many pieces left over. He don't have the patience. It's like all the nuts and bolts.
They always give you extra pieces.
No, they don't. No, they don't. The children are at risk. It's an issue.
It's all known.
But I accepted that from him. Right? Okay, you're not gonna fix nothing. The light bulb the light bulb in my vanity in my bathroom is done. I only got one left. It's 4 over top of the sink. There's only one left. Can we change the light bulbs? Right? Okay. But I don't make him feel less of a man because that's what society told me being a man is about. You have to be super handy. You got to be hyper masculine. You got to beat your chest and growl. No, that's not who he is, and that's not who I was. And that's where we found each other. Each other's perfect puzzle piece. We found that match. And I think people need to find their matches, and be super transparent and honest about who they are. Because I wasn't. I would try to fit into that traditional role, and I was suffocating and hated it. It wasn't comfortable for me. I didn't like it. I was like, I'm so much more than this. I don't want to cook. Do we eat? Yes. But it felt, and that may be an old trauma. My grandmother just looked miserable cooking. She would be in the kitchen sweating. Like, it was like laborsome. It never looked fun to me. She looked absolutely
That's funny.
Miserable cooking.
Really?
She would be sweating.
It wasn't like soul food?
It was soul for sure. It was pulling out her soul. She made it look so taxing.
He's like, I don't even want to go.
I said, I don't want to do that. And then she wouldn't let us to help. She wouldn't allow us to even help her. I got this. I'm going to do it on my own. She would be prepping a day before. I'm like, what? I want my free time. I do not want to be prepping 2 days for Thanksgiving dinner. I need some free time here.
That's the best part about cooking.
For who? Wait a minute. Who? I don't know.
Oh, wait.
No. So I didn't like that.
These women might not like this.
It didn't feel natural. I didn't like it for me. Right. Now, I know women who love to cook. They do it. It's a labor of love. They will fix your plate. Charles, your dinner's ready.
Not Charles.
You hear me? That's not me. That's not me. But it's people out there who enjoy cooking and in that type of servitude. I serve my husband differently. I'm his peace. I'm his think tank. After a long day from us both being at the office, we are each other's peace. And we are not caught up into, well, you ain't cook. Look at the house. We not doing that. It's us together pushing this forward. Now, in other people's households, it may look very different, but I will not dare impose my household to your household. And I think that's where it gets really, that's where the conflict comes, because people want to say women should do this and men should do this. Well, I was trying to be that woman and it wasn't fun. I had an attitude. I was irritated because I felt forced in a position that wasn't natural to me. It's natural for me to be at the office with my husband, thinking, brainstorming, coming up with all the strategies. Like, that's great. And I love my children too. I didn't like being at home by myself talking to me and the children. I was like, they can't even talk. It's just me and them. This isn't fun for me. I don't like this. I don't feel natural. I feel like I have so much more to give. But I'm going to make sure that the house is taken care of, that we eat. And I'm going to be your peace when you get home.
That's setting reservations.
And setting reservations.
Ain't nothing wrong with it. Listen.
And setting reservations.
I'm here for it.
You know? And that's not saying that I can't cook. I can. But I feel like what I can bring to the table is different.
Cool. That's it?
He said, cool. That's it. Come on with your stuff, with the shenanigans.
I like it.
You about to put me in the kitchen with an apron on.
I'm not.
And a spatula in this hand.
You know what?
And a mitten in this one. Come on.
Before I get into these men, because I'm coming heavy with the men, I just want y'all to be ready. But I think what's the way I like to look at men and women roles in our positions, and it is what it is. I know it got like a negative connotation to it. What's the role of it? But but everybody has a role. Everybody plays a role. That's just That's just nature, right? The sun has its role. The moon has its role. Like, it's just roles. But what I like about it, I think through God's design, if we was to go that deep, I think He made it where we don't appreciate women for just naturally who they are, and women have a natural ability to adapt, right? Like, if I was to put my opinion on that, I don't think no man adapt unless by some type of forced circumstances, but most men are just men, and men are going to be men no matter what.
They like rocks.
They just like stern.
Like a rock.
It is. It's just
hard.
It's unmovable. And I'm not like against it.
Yeah.
But women have the ability by nature to just come into a situation, and they merge with you so perfectly.
Yeah.
Right? And it's in every tradition that they do. You give up your last name to take on somebody else's.
Yeah.
You give up your life to be embedded in his life.
Yeah.
You give up your independence a tad bit to be embedded in your children's life.
Absolutely.
They have a natural just aura to just sponge like and adapt.
Yeah.
And I think that we don't give women credit for that, because just from how you clearly describe your roles as a wife or a woman, that might not be 80 to 90% of the woman population, but you have the ability to adapt into that. And I'm pretty sure that, let's just say you are who you are and your man came at you different to be more traditional. Before you call it quits, you would try to adapt.
Absolutely.
You would be like, I'm going to put this apron on. I'm going to cook.
I did. I tried that.
For a while, you'd be like, you know what I'm saying? And it takes some women it's the word suppress in a way where they won't even speak up for themselves. They'd be like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
We're going to have to. And because I know who he is and his upbringing, I guess his influential upbringing and the negative connotation that the nation have about roles and men and women, I just find it a bit fascinating. But
like, that's a case study. How did that happen?
But I'm not in disagreement because I understand that because that's how I am in a sense, right? Like, we have some traditionals in the sense, but then at the same time we write our own script.
Yeah.
Right? So I thought that was really good. If y'all didn't get something out of that, something wrong with you.
No, for sure. I don't by any means, I think people need to find what works for them.
Yeah.
And I think you can start off with what society says as you have some type of blueprint, right? Or you go traditionally what's in the Bible. You have to start somewhere, right? But I think that's not maybe where you want to end if it's not working.
Right.
And I think that the problem is people keep their foot on the gas on what's not working. If you either one of us aren't happy in something, we have to talk that out and work that out. Why aren't you happy? What's happening here? Are we wearing hats that we don't fit, that don't belong to us, right? Because I could have been like, well, you need to cut the grass. You don't change nothing in this house. You're not handy. Mm-hmm. You're not doing whatever the traditional things a man should do. Only thing you do is provide. You lazy. Saturday mornings, he laying in the bed with me. There's somebody else out there cutting the grass. If the car need to be washed, there's somebody who comes and wash the cars. I could have been like, you lazy. You don't even wash our cars. You don't even get the cars clean. I could have had a different view on that. Mm-hmm. I call y'all. Come on, Reed, can you come over and can you fix this and put that? But I don't shame my husband because that's not the hat he wants to wear.
Right.
So I feel like people need to allow people to grow in who they are. And I think we wear these we're not authentic in who we are. We meet people with this perception of who we think we should be. And then when the real you comes out, everybody is resentful for each other. Be you, authentically you, when you meet someone so they know that, hey, we're meshing together. Yup. If he didn't want me as a non-traditional, whatever that is, type of woman, he could have found somebody who said, no, I want a traditional housewife. I want someone that's going to stay home and cook and clean while I go out and bring home the bacon.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, okay, Jack, well, that ain't me. Yeah. We going to keep on moving.
Right.
Because I was very clear on who I was as a woman going in. Now, when we got married and I had children, I still then put on that hat because I thought that's what I needed to be. All right, I'm going to cook. I'm going to clean. I'm going to be miserable with these children. And I said, wait a minute. Then we had to get help. I said, I need help in this house. We going to get a nanny, and we got a second nanny, and we got somebody. And I said, oh, yeah, this is it then. You got to pay to have a kept woman to me. I feel like if you want your wife to be at home, give her some help to me. I don't think that's nice to keep her home with the children. They don't even speak English. They can't even talk. She at home looking at the walls. That's not a good recipe.
Oh, my goodness.
She don't have no adult dialogue.
Oh, my God.
Then you be mad when she come home and she's stressing you out because she ain't have no adult interaction all day.
Stand up.
If you were home all day with children who are learning, they can't even
I'm about to address
formulate a sentence.
I'm going to address it.
You know, she's at home all day with them. If she don't get an outlet or some peace when you come home, it's hell. Mm-hmm. Anything she was feeling or aggravating or having that day, you gonna catch it. Or she's taking it out on the children. I don't think it's healthy for women if you stay at home to be at home all day with your children. I think women need an outlet to regain who they are as a woman. I am a wife and I am a mother, but that's not all who I am. Mm-hmm. I have my own dreams, my own goals, my likes and dislikes outside of being a wife and a mother. I need time to explore that. And if I'm at home with these children all day, looking at these four walls, God bless you. Because I don't have the mental capacity to do that. And I didn't. And so even if you want to be a stay-at-home mom and be and have traditional values, I think what happens is women lose themselves. And they don't have an outlet for them. Even if you journal, read a book, go walk, join a book club, be around other adults and women who can motivate you and stimulate you mentally, you know, so you're not at home with the children all day, just kind of in a one-dimensional space, if that makes sense. And my heart goes out to women because I don't think that we get the support we need when men say they want a traditional wife and woman to stay home. But it's us together collectively, and you build your plan for your family. What are our goals? What are we doing here? It's not just me sitting at home cooking, cleaning, and you outside making the bacon. What are we doing? Is it a temporary thing? Because that's how we were. Okay, I'm a temporary stay home for this period of time. And then once the kids get a certain age, I'm back into this business. I'm back into building something that makes me feel good for myself. You know, what does that look like? And I think people don't discuss and have conversations about the periods of time in their business, in their marriage. And we went through counseling. I mean, it's not easy. It is a full-time job just being married. It's a breathing organism that requires love and attention and time and all the things.
Yeah.
But I am pro-marriage. I am 9 years. So I am pro-marriage.
Maybe pro-marriage.
But it is tough. And I want people to know that the work starts when you get married. People think, oh, I'm married. Oh, it's supposed to be easy now. No, baby. That's when the work starts.
Yeah.
That's when the work starts.
So, y'all might be like, is this a relationship podcast? It's not. I know it's trendy, right? I just wanted to we came to tap in this thing a little bit different than what you might hear on relationship podcasts because this affects business.
Absolutely.
And this is a business. This is the toughest business that you will ever run is a family business. Automatically, if you are a business owner and you have a family, you automatically have two businesses that you have to care for at the same exact time. And what happens in either one of them affects the other.
That's right.
Right? And so that's just law. I believe that where it's at. So out of these relationship podcasts and advice that people giving, I'm hearing so much men who have been far removed from other men that we are just less of a man.
All right, talk heavy now.
And in my opinion, I look around and say, where are all the men gone? It was a heavy day when my grandpa passed away. You have men who was just real men. As they just did men things automatically. They taught it, right? And we got men today that's smoke screening for men. But you could tell, and this is no shade to the mom, but you could tell you was raised by a woman, and you ain't never let them quality likes in you go. And I'm here to tell you today, as a man, the Bible say a man leaves his mother and his father and cleaves to his wife. Some of that means we got to let go of what we thought we knew growing up and what was told to us, whether we in a one-parent household or a two-parent household. And when you cleave to your wife and become one, that dynamic change. And some of the stuff that we got in us, you got to let go. This is the ability that school systems take away from us. We don't have the ability to free think. We don't critically think. We don't question things that should be questioned. Why do I do this? Where am I getting this from? I know when I first got married, I was heavy on my wife working till I had to explore where that came from. Oh, it's because my mom worked all her life. Then I ain't never seen my grandmama not work, even with a husband. So I'm like, that's what women do, right? And I'm not saying that they don't, but sometimes we have to explore where we get things so we can figure out if it's going to work in our marriage or if it ain't. And that's where that's where the truth comes in. It's about accountability. All these men out here, we're not taking true accountability to who we are and our role and position. So let's get into it, right? Marriage needs life. It's life. It's hard. It's not an easy thing. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, every man needs a wife. He said, you don't know you a man unless you got a wife. Why? Because women test you in ways that test your ability to be tried as a man.
That's right.
Anything that you do and become a subject matter expert in, you must be tried in it to be considered an expert.
That's right.
How do I know what I would do or react unless I'm in a situation that tries me to cause me to react to something?
That's right.
So you need a woman. That's what they do. That's what they're here for. One of the reasons, right? And so we get so infatuated with, he said the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that the first law was motion. We get so infatuated behind motion. Or if I see her down the street and we got motion, we got emotion, we attracted to one another, we got movement in the physical realm of space. And the only thing we concerned with is the physical attributes of one another. And most men get caught up there and you stay there and you stay there too long, right? And so we got to get out of that. I think, me personally, that through, and we already broke down the roles of Willie Lynch and what that looks like and why the family is not established. It's more especially the black family, but these apply to poor families too. Mm-hmm. That on why we are broken in that way. And so sometimes we might need something or somebody to show us what right might look like so that we could walk that way. And as we walk that way, we can figure out our own path along the way, a foundation somewhere, right? Ooh, I feel it, boy. I'm preaching today. So what happens is I think one of the best institutions that teaches family and relations is in the Nation of Islam. The problem is that most people see is wrapped up inside the Nation of Islam. It's wrapped up in being a Muslim, and people can't get past that in their head. But we must study ourselves to be prudent, right? In all walks of life. I don't just study Muslim or Islam. I study Christianity. I study everything because we are just knowledge seekers, period, right? So the Mr. Louis Farrakhan say the lessons teach us that we ought to have money, good homes, friendship. In that order: money, good home, friendship, right? He said, brothers can't be a good husband if you lazy. Now, we heard what Farrah broke down, the description of like, if you ain't a handyman, maybe that makes you lazy. But I'm talking about the word and definition of lazy, just being lazy. What does that mean? It might not mean that I get up and mow the grass and all that stuff, and that may not be considered lazy. But a man who sits up and lay up and have no purpose in life is lazy. And you can't be a husband being a lazy man in that arena. Understand me and hear me good. A man with no vision, no object, you don't need a wife. What's the purpose of you having a wife if you are not driven or have a purpose towards something? Mm-mm. When God established his domain, he was intentional about creating heaven and earth. He was intentional about saying it's not good for a man to be alone. That's and he right. created man out of his image, man and female, and they had dominion. But the woman is able to help a man who's purpose and driven. That's why I say men are men. It ain't going to change. I don't care if you go back or you go forward. They will always be stern this way. And women are like sponges. They have the ability to adapt, and we don't give them enough credit. But right. The reason why we don't give them credit is because we not driven. We lazy. We don't have an aspiration to do something better. We don't have an aspiration to do something for ourselves. Yet we want a woman for pleasure and play.
Come on now. Talking nice to me now. Let them know. Come on.
So before you take on a wife, you need to ask yourself, what's my purpose? What am I here to do? Why am I here to do that? So when I sit with a potential woman I'm courting, catch my language. When I sit with a potential woman I'm courting, she should then test my manhood and ask me, what is it that you doing?
And if you don't have a vision and you don't have a place where you're trying to go, how can she support that?
Because she can't see it.
Because you can't see it.
Right, exactly.
You can't see it.
It starts with you.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
The Bible says, be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. If you don't have a belief system, if we don't have the same beliefs, we can't be equally yoked.
Mm-mm.
If my belief is running left and yours is running right, the marriage surely will die.
Mm-mm. That's a fact. And all you know is that I'm supposed to do what God said is cook and clean, but you're not fearful. You're not living to God's word. But I'm supposed to, but you're not.
Right.
Mm-mm.
So the man sets what does that mean? The man sets the course. He sets the direction. He sets the time. He sets the purpose. He sets the movement. We the air traffic controllers. We talking to we the tower. That's how this works. See, we could talk about what a woman can do or should do or why they should do it, but it's out of a cry of what we are not doing and what we don't know how to do.
That's right.
So we beat it out the woman to emasculate us, not knowing that you are demasculating yourself.
Come on now. Where is the tithe?
So the job of a man is to be a is to be a maintainer.
Pass the plate. You hot now.
Right? If I provide maintenance in my household as a maintainer, that means I need something to establish myself for upkeep. That's what maintenance does, right? If you in an apartment or you rent homes and something broke, who do you call? The maintenance man.
That's right.
And guess what he do? He has the tools to fix up your situation. What's the tools for a man to provide maintenance? That's money based off vision, based off purpose. So I have the physical money to maintain my wife physically. What does that mean? Her upkeep. I shouldn't be out here dressed to the nine and my wife got on rags.
All right now. Come on.
I shouldn't have a haircut every week and my wife's hair look a mess.
All right.
You complain about her not being upkept in the home, but you ain't providing the upkeeping for her to be upkept inside the home. Talk to me.
You right on. You saying all the good things. I'm following you as a woman. You talking heavy like that. I'm like, where we going? Because I'm following you because you got a vision and a plan and you know what you're doing. You ain't just talking just to talk. It's, and I see this and I hear this a lot. Women don't know how to be submissive. You got to be submissive. Why would I submit to you and you don't even have a vision or a plan on how we going to go there? But I'm supposed to submit to what? What am I submitting onto what?
Let's talk about it.
What am I submitting for? Because I don't have a problem being submissive. But you got to talk nice to me.
Right.
Be eating that. Listen, don't be talking about submitting and then you ain't got me a house. I don't have security for me and my children, financial security. You jumping from job to job. You not God-fearing. You hanging out with your boys all the time. I'm not submitting for that.
That's right. And we have been naturally or systematically role reversed. But I'm here to tell you, notice I mentioned systematically role reverse. Because we are aware of that fact, it gives you the authority to change it. Hear me good. All you men who allow their wife to take care of you, via she's the breadwinner or working in the job, unless there's some prearrangement to that factor, because I'm not negating some men might need a little help or it's just natural. I'm not
or
negating
sick,
all that.
Right?
Or you sick or something like that. But if you just allow your wife to go work while you lay up at home and she has to provide for her, you, and the children, you ought to feel bad for yourself. It ought to make you feel away.
It does. That's why you lash out. That's why those type of men lash out.
But that's the wrong reaction to that. You should feel so bad, in fact, that you get up and find purpose, find a way to make money, Sales been a thing since sales been a thing. You
Okay.
all skills can be learned. There's no excuse not for it not to be. No excuse for it not
Especially
to be.
with the land of Uber. If you got a vehicle, you better go out there and deliver anything you can. It's an opportunity. And I think that mindset is just lazy. I just think that's a lazy man, you know, and it's as a woman who's also raising a black boy, I battle and I go back and forth on the right energy and attitude I need to have with my son so that so that he doesn't fall into the trap, because he is my son and I understand how it is. That's my baby. But I'm also very mindful that he has to be someone else's husband one day. How do I
We're gonna get into children.
help him in a way? Because that's my son. It is a difference with my daughter. I give her all the smoke. You're gonna be independent, you're gonna be this, you're gonna be that. My son, he got a special place in my heart. Right. I don't, and he's my baby.
Now you see, you hear that. And when I started off, right, and just make no mistake, when I started off, I said most of us are raised by single women.
Yeah.
And when a man leaves his father and his mother to cleave to his wife, you understand? See, your woman is not there to coddle and be a baby. Like you're not gonna. That's not your baby. You know what I'm saying? She's not gonna baby you.
Yeah.
You gotta lead her.
Yeah.
So that means some of this stuff you're gonna have to leave the attributes of your mother's teaching.
Yeah.
And if you desire to be baby, then you need to go home to your mom.
That's right.
Not bring that into the house with your wife. Right? So why the focus around money? Why? Because see, money is a measurement for how much purpose and vision that you have in your success, and it produces respect. That's what it does. So if you're not making money, if you're not providing, and she is, the woman loses respect. That's what's going to happen.
That's a fact.
Period.
That's a fact. I grew up in that. My mother made money and she dated men that made less than her, and the conversations that went on in that home
was quite different.
Was very different.
I bet she was barking.
What?
And he was whoop, boom, boom, boom.
Oh, absolutely.
See, money is a measurement of dominance and respect. If you get distracted in what I'm saying, you'll only focus on the money.
Yeah.
But it's a tool and a measurement of how we are seen and what we see with each other. Why is that important? When God established his kingdom, he put Adam and Eve inside of a garden. Now watch this. They were in a garden with everything that they could need or want. They had fruits to eat. They had animals to tend to. Yet he still gave them gold. You got to ask yourself why? Because what they was buying. It established the home. So you got to get it. If you don't have it and you have lack thereof, you have lack of purpose. That means you have lack of drive.
And
your woman will disrespect you. And so the answer, you want better women, you got to be better men.
Come on now. Talking heavy. Come on. You got to ask. And the thing that I don't get is that it becomes black women aren't this, black women aren't that. And there's no accountability. We both have things that we need to work on. But as a man, if you are the leader and you're the head and not the tail, then be that. Don't be what you oppose. Don't be what you despise. You don't like my attributes as a black woman, then don't be that. Be the light you want me to be the reflection of. Be what God wanted you to be. Stand up and be the head and go, look how he's carrying himself. He's not going back and forth with me, arguing with me. He's not, I guess, stooping down to my level. Be the light. Be the head. And I can say, oh, okay, I need to follow his cue. Yeah. I'm going to be submissive to that. No, he's going back and forth with me, being argumentative and petty with me. Okay, now I'm not saying as women we got to keep pushing it.
But that's what women do.
No, for sure. Do not be what you oppose. And what I hear is, well, you do it. And because you do it, I could do it. Oh, it's good for you, but it's not good for me. Well, you're being the exact same thing that you say you don't like. And so then the rat race is like a dog chasing his tail. We just gonna keep going around and around.
Mm-hmm. Y'all, we playing with time today because this is sensitive. We got time. So we in this. And I was I am and still battle with that. I think that it's unfortunate, and I'll say things like, it's unfair. Well, you get the da-da-da-da. And what I forget to do is appreciate the fairness in our position, because I think it is fair, and I think it's beauty in a woman naturally being able to do what it is that she do, whether that's if she gets upset. And I think it's beauty in the man being able to handle that, because it establishes character. After you get money, good home, good friends, character is built within that.
Yeah.
You understand? So the conversation moves different. So now I'm going to address the woman working. I don't think that, not that I don't think that a woman shouldn't work. I think that a man is a maintainer and a provider and a protector. What that means is you provide for your household monetarily, physically, and spiritually. If your woman decides to work, that's an added blessing to your house that you was not expecting. Mm-hmm. If she so desires not to, it still don't take away your role or your responsibility to be a man.
Yeah.
Let's be clear on that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so when we move this conversation along, if a woman don't work and she rears children, which that's her natural thing that she will be doing if she's not working, one of the things, right? It's our role to check the room. We got to read the room. Understand that you've been at work all day, business or work, and your environment is tough and heavy. It's not your woman's job to console your problems in your workspace. Talk to your boys about being the man to figure out solutions to better yourself and to better your work condition. Come home to your wife and unburden her spirit, because she's been where? Home with children and haven't had intellectual, spiritual conversations to stimulate her mind. She becomes dumbfounded if we don't feed into that. Understand that. We talking to children all day, every day. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you continue to have low-level conversation, it breeds the energy of low-levelness in your house, which causes chaoses, which causes disorder. So when I come home, I need to have spiritual conversations with my wife, intellectual conversations with my wife. Here's how we move the needle today. What's going on in your world? What happens in your spirit? Okay, what happened with the kids? Let that be a short stint, because she's going to get out her frustrations on
for
that.
sure. And then she's going to reciprocate and ask you, well, how was your day?
Right.
What, honey, how, it's
the conversation lift.
Yes.
The energy lift.
Yes.
The mood in the household
lift.
So in order for you to have spiritual conversations, guess what, brothers? You got to lead that. We must become knowledgeable, a learned man. You can't be a fool. You can't not know what's going on around you, in the world, in your business, what affects you, what affects the family. You cannot be a fool. Solomon said, he said, a man that wandereth out the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. If you have no understanding, you will be a dead man walking. You got to breathe life in yourself. Read.
Please be learned and educated. Please.
Right?
Please be those things.
So to break that down, what does that look like? Myron said there's 4 levels of wisdom. There's prerequisites to wisdom. One is we come into ignorance. That's natural. You are born with that. When I came into this world, I didn't know hot from cold. I had to touch it to understand it. That's ignorance. Once we move past ignorance, we got knowledge. It's accumulation of truth. Mm-hmm. Once we have knowledge, it's not enough. We need to understand it. It's the assimilation of truth. Well, I understand the roles of a man and a woman. Now I need to understand it. Well, let me see how this plays out. Boom. And once you get that, then you have wisdom, which is the application of truth. It's not enough for us to talk. We have to be about the business we talking about.
That's right.
That's how you test it.
So you need to be insightful. You need to understand what these things do. You need to understand the roles of it, right? And so you got to understand, look at the placement of the duty that God gave us. In the first book of Genesis, 26 to 28, he gives the commandment to be fruitful, to multiply, to have dominion. He said it's not good for man to be alone. And so he made a woman to be equally yoked. And guess what? Adam says, well, this is bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, and I'm going to call her a woman. So this establishment of a new law, right? And so that's when he said a man leaves his home and cleave to his wife. We got to be elite decision makers. See, we talk about Solomon and Jesus, but we don't take on the attributes of these men. They was elite decision makers.
Yeah.
That's what men should do. Elite decision makers. Men should be that. How do we know that they were elite decision makers? Well, Solomon made a decision between two women and their baby. Off the effects of that decision, it was heard throughout all the kingdom. His wisdom was heard in unseen places he wasn't even at. And guess what happened? The Queen of Sheba came to test his knowledge. You won't be a man unless you tested by a woman. It was no question she could ask that he couldn't answer. He understood his wisdom. How was Jesus like that? This is a test of character. Jesus was around Judas and knew who Judas was. Mm-hmm. See, men, you want to rebel and gossip. My man's ain't do this and that, and oh, he want to be a woman like this and that. But Jesus knew who Judas was, yet he still was around him, because guess what? It didn't affect his character. It didn't affect his ability to make decisions.
That's right.
It didn't affect his ability to move. Now, I got to spend a little time on it because I don't hear about this in the internet at all. Allow me a little bit of leeway.
They too busy.
So how we know what's the duties of a man? Solomon said a man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, right? Paul told Timothy that if any man not provide for his own, or especially his own house, right, he be denied faith. It's worse than infidel. That lets you know a man sets the tone, the precedence. He has the mobility to have forward momentum in his family. This is important to understand, because if we establish the family, we establish business.
That's right.
Which creates generational wealth. Because you don't know your role, man, black man, you can't lead a family. If you can't lead a family, you cannot lead a business. That's leadership qualities. You're going to have all kind of people, man, woman, diverse, black, white, all of them. If you can't lead yourself and your family, you can't lead a people, right? Now let's break this down. Gonna go to the board. My team said be pre-ready, so I was ready. A little bit. Right? So I broke down the attributes of wisdom, right? This is how we get wisdom, knowledge, and understanding right here. Ignorance, knowledge, understanding, wisdom produces a learned man. Now watch this now. Now see, most of y'all rebel in that in the Star of David. Understand, in the Star of David, it's a 6-pointed star. It's a duality of man and woman, man and God, of supreme. Guess what happens here? In this star, we produce a man from chest to point. We produce a man from head. Watch this now. I'm getting into it. Produce a man from head to point. If we only think about our lower ambitions as a man, we will continue to be low level and not spiritual. We can't lead that way. The more we focus on the duality of it and focus on ourselves on the spiritual plan, and this connects us with God himself, the better we can act as a people. This falls onto the woman too. Not going to draw that design. But what does that mean? Why the number 6, right? Now, 6 is the fall of man. Watch this. We out of the board. Here's where the wisdom come in. It says in Revelations, it says, and he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here's the wisdom. Exactly what it's saying in the text. Here is the wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it's the number of man, and his number is 666. This is where we get 666. Now, some churches and beliefs and nationalities will have you to believe that 666 is the mark of the devil. However, 6 is the number of the fall of man. You will always be tested in this number. That's who we are, men and women. So we got to always learn ourselves, be prudent, study ourselves to be a diligent and righteous man so we can lead our women. The answer to women being better, the answer to children being better is for the man himself to pick himself up by his own bootstraps with the help of God and have good counsel of men around him. That's what Solomon said. Counsel of wise men around.
I have a question then. So if black men, because black men today, a lot of them say, well, we aren't the man we need to be because of black women and we were raised by single mothers.
That's right.
Right. So for a black man to step into what he needs to be, into his rightful place, what are some actionable steps a man could do today at 30, 40, and 50 years old to course correct his mindset to not blame the black woman, but take accountability for himself?
The first thing you got to do is have accountability. I'm going to tell you right now, shut it up. Don't say nothing about the reason I am is because somebody is or was or what they did. Take some self-accountability for yourself. What does that look like? That looks like for every action that goes out, you have to look within yourself to see what caused that. Mm-hmm. Why is this like this? Mm-hmm. When I used to fight with my wife, a long time we used to go back. She used to get upset and I used to be trying to figure out what's going on. And it caused more arguments. The moment I started to say, hey, you know what? That was on me. My bad. That was on me. Okay. I shouldn't have said that the way I said it. I shouldn't have did it the way I did it. Mm-hmm. I should have thought about that different. It changed her natural reaction to how we address problems.
Right. You kind of downgraded.
Diffuse the
situation.
energy.
Right. You didn't become and absorb it.
See, understand that we strategists.
Right. You were the rock and said, no,
right.
I'm not going to bring in that energy.
Understand that if I believe I'm right or wrong, mm-hmm. It's the responsibility of a man to take actions of him and his wife, because understand that a woman is a reflection of you. This is what you got to understand. Your women are a reflection of you. Whatever you put out, they're going to absorb and spit right back at you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, and if you got a wife or a woman, you know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't even have to explain no further.
Like a mirror.
It is.
I'm giving you the same energy you getting.
Right.
Right.
Understand, women won't forget. It could be 2024. They will remind you of 1999. You hear me? So what you put out, they're going to give it back to you. Understand that.
Yeah.
Understand that you have room to course correct, but you need to be able to be course correct within yourself.
That's right.
So after we establish accountability, mm-hmm. then we must find purpose in life. See, you stay low level because you allow yourself to be in low level conversations because you don't have a higher driven purpose to keep you out of that.
You don't value yourself.
You don't value yourself enough. Mm-hmm. Understand you are enough. You don't need no other man to validate that. You don't need no other woman to validate that. But a woman does. That's your measurement for validation. But you don't need that.
Right.
So understand that you got to have a purpose. What does purpose? Purpose looks like I'm focused on business. I don't know what's going on in the football arena. And I'm not knocking nobody who do.
That's right.
But I understand my purpose and driven is right now it's not to watch ESPN. It's not to be on CNN. It's to watch CNBC because it affects business.
That's right.
It's to read and study and be prudent so I know what the tax laws are so I can affect and help business owners and people. That's all I do every day. So I don't get distracted with the low levelness of life.
Right, perfecting your craft.
Perfecting the craft.
Being singularly focused.
Right. Have blockers on.
That's right.
tunnel vision.
Because you made that covenant.
Right.
To make sure that, hey, what I'm doing, I'm going to be the best at that, right? Going back to previous episodes.
Right.
And so I hear you. As a man, I hear your passion, your drive, that as men, they need to be more accountable. Not to say that women don't either, right?
But that's not our place.
Right. If you are the head,
right,
and we are to follow you, then you need to be firm.
Right.
You need to be someone that's worth following.
See, and what's happening is y'all, we focus on right now today that we're not playing the long haul game. Well, Tariq, what's the long haul? Well, understand that the way that we think about men and women in relationships today came from how our grandparents and great-grandparents were treated and then acted upon then. Well, how do we course correct? If I just gave you the tools to do that, if I establish a new way of life, if my marriage is successful, understanding that it's hard work and we fight at it, and not fight at it, but we fight for love.
It, right.
For it.
We fight for it. For love, for the establishment of our family. If I course correct ourselves, that means I become a better man. That means I become a better woman. That means when we have children, our children become better. And guess what happens? We now become the elders and the councils of the community. So when the woman have problems, guess who she can go see? The council of women. When the man faces problems, guess who he can go see? The council of elders. And not the internet.
For strangers. You can't blame people and things about conditions that we in if you're not willing to jump in there and change your condition. I say most people need businesses. Why would I fight for that if I don't fight to be a business owner and a successful one at that? It ain't just good to just have a business to say you registered on the Secretary of State.
No, you got to be in it.
But how do we develop it and be prudent in that? Why are we talking about family? This is warfare, and we have to understand that we are strategists. We playing at this game, right? So that's how you do it. Now, how does this affect money and wealth? I'm gonna tell you right now. We're gonna show you this how it affects it. If everybody talks about generational wealth, nobody says how to build it up. I'm gonna give you one method for the sake of time, and you could dice it, slice it, and remix it how you want to. But if a man has purpose, he has a duty, he has drive, whether that's a job or a business owner, doesn't matter. The man works hard to develop a skill. He established a trust for the family. After or before, doesn't matter the order that you choose to do, but before you leave this earth, Bible say leave an inheritance, you do that by way of a trust. Everything, how do I fund the trust? The assets of the business or assets in general? Bank accounts, life insurance. That established the trust. The trust have rules that you put in place to say, hey, listen, in this trust, this is what you can do. The Rockefellers did it. The Rothschilds did it. And right now in our midst, the Chick-fil-A family is doing it. Yeah. So we got plenty of examples of how that works. What does that look like? On the left side, we got operationals. I'm just going to speak to the businessman. I'm going to leave the working man alone. I love you, black man, but I'm talking about the businessman.
We got to get him up in that quadrant. We got to get the working man into the quadrant.
The working man got to invest. That's the only way you're going to free yourself. You either going to have to start a business or use the money that you make, invest it in things that can grow you money so your money can work in your sleep. So if I give it to a real estate investor, I own homes, or if I'm in the 401k, the mutual funds, or the stocks, the only way that you're going to establish some dominance as a working man. I don't know no other way. So we got a business with the LLC on the operational side. This looks like, well, if I establish the business, my son might run our empire one day, right? So we talk about children. Children are not to be played with. The duty of us having children is to multiply and replenish the earth, which means we ought to raise kids to be self-sufficient and not dependent on us.
That's right.
That's why the man leaves his wife, leaves his mother and father and cleaves to his wife, right? So my son or daughter Let's not leave that out.
Come on now.
Runs my organization. That might look like their children being lawyers. I might not be the lawyer, but we need a lawyer in the family. That might look like somebody being an insurance person. Here's my things on nonprofits. See, we get caught up on having nonprofits because we don't have no money. And we just want to establish a nonprofit to give to something that we don't even give to ourselves, right? So, but that looks like nonprofits after we built up the money. Mm-hmm. Understand the Rockefeller Foundation was a result of having too much money that he needed something to deploy his assets into something.
That's right.
So he built the school, Chicago University. He built the school board of which we have today. That's what that is. That's nonprofit work, to do something prolific, right? Change something. That might look like somebody in the family in political arenas. So I might not be the congressman or woman, but my daughter or great-granddaughter or great-grandson is in that arena. But we have established money that established dominance to get them to get in these positions.
And that's the full blueprint.
It's the full blueprint.
You need somebody in every arena.
Field.
That's right.
I think I covered all of them. I don't know no other. You might want somebody in banking. You don't have to, right? Because, but these are the plays. So that's how you establish generational. Once I establish something that could be generational, I work hard to make sure it's not destroyed, right? So I'll go back to one of my favorite shows, Yellowstone. I established the ranch. I'm in the political arena to make sure that the governor or no other businessman coming from out of state come in to take my land. I put my son to be a lawyer. I put my daughter in the finance industry to understand money
and they're tapped into that community.
And tapped into the community through organizations, through the farms associations and stuff like that, that come together to politic about how farmers could be farmers and stay farmers.
Because nothing is going to happen in that town regarding farming in that industry without them knowing.
And they drive a force because they unify.
That's right.
If we don't unify the family, we can't be good businessmen and women. If we can't be good businessmen and women, we can't have good communities. If we don't stop the bickering about what a man should do or what a wife should do, and unless you sweep in front of your own front porch, we will continue to have children who would take on the same fight that we taking on. Understand millennials and right before millennials and a little bit after. We're in a crucial time period. We have to deconstruct and unlearn what we didn't really learn from our parents. Yeah. Establish a new way of life and living, and all of us is at a cry. Yeah. If we continue to allow contention to build, we will never get it to the place that we need to be. So we have to understand and allow a little patience as we unlearn and
while we're learning,
and to establish our children to be in a better light. I hope this was
that was good.
Quite informational.
Yeah, for sure. You gave actionable steps, what men should do, right?
That's the only thing I've noticed. That's the only thing I focus on. I didn't say what a woman should do. I let that be what Farrah said and how she did it. I'm addressing the man. So if you got an issue with what I say, let it be man to man, and we can handle it as men.
That's right.
Let's be clear on that.
That's right. No, I think that's important. I think that's really important. I think that this episode was needed, right? Because we are both married, we're both in business, and no matter how you feel your role should be, you have to find it and you develop it in your household, because the ultimate goal is to push your family and establish generational wealth. And you can't do that if we're bickering and we're fighting and there's no unity in the family and in the community. So if you are laying down and you're despising yourself and your spouse, that's not a great environment to build community and then do generational wealth. How can you do that? So I think that this episode was needed. It was fuel and food for the soul for our counterparts that are out there that need help and guidance, or to even expand the conversation. Listen to this and have a conversation with your spouse, with your significant other. What does that look like? What are our roles? What are your views on that? Right. And I think sometimes we don't even have that conversation. Well, what is your expectations of me as a wife? Right? Me and my husband had that very clear. So I knew that we were on the same page, right? I think this is a really good topic. I hope that people did get all that they could get from it, right? I hope that you learned, you got some insight, you're able to go back to your own backyard and
the room is heavy, y'all.
and have a conversation about it, right?
Right.
Drop something in the comments,
Right.
like, comment, share,
Yeah,
right? Tell a friend to tell a friend. So minding your business is about all the things,
Yeah.
right? Your relationships and how you interact with people affect your business.
Yeah.
It truly does. You can't be one-dimensional.
Yeah.
You can't be one-dimensional. So anything else?
Last thing I'll say on this is, as a man or a woman, if we lack the ability to master oneself, our own self, you lack the ability to have control of the things around you. Men who are abusive and lash out, that's a cry on no self-control. You have no mastery of self. We must learn to master ourselves so we can master and control the things around us. And so with that, like, share, subscribe, like she said. And that's another episode. And don't forget to keep minding your biz, y'all. And we'll see y'all on the next episode.